We're on.
That was smooth, wasn't it?
Look, we both rolled that way. It's fine.
It's all good.
So everybody, I think this is number 3 in my Artist Spotlight series, and we have the beautiful Steph Wallace with us today.
Stop it. You're so sweet.
With the best headphones ever.
Yeah, I had to steal them from my daughter because I couldn't find mine. So
oh my
very
gosh,
professional.
They are seriously the cutest. I love them. And one of my girls spotted them before, so you know, it might be something in my future. I might be buying them.
That's great.
Super, super cute. So, Steph, I came across you first via Susan Nethercutt's. She must get that all the time, the tongue twist a bit.
Yeah, I reckon it. And it's a long one. It's a long one. Keep going.
Yeah, Studio Insider podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, yep. Susan Nethercutt's Studio Insider podcast. Yeah, that's it.
So that's where I first came across you and your, you know, your art and all of your magic. And you promoted on there actually way back when a Pinterest course as well. So I did that. But some of our viewers today might not have heard of you, which is, you know, highly unlikely.
I'm not a celebrity, right?
Oh, look, you're a bit fantastic. And if they haven't heard of you, it's a shame. You need a Steph in your life, so go and follow her on Insta. But Steph, would you like to tell that one person? I did actually make this joke in the last episode about someone else. So it's turning into my version of a dad joke. It's really, really bad. Anyway, Steph, can you tell everyone a little bit about you and your art?
Yeah, I can. So I would describe myself as a multi-passionate creative. So I work in a lot of different mediums, and because I'm neurodiverse, that changes fairly frequently, keeping it fresh. But at the moment, my hot and heavy romance is with clay. So I'm all about the ceramics at the moment. Prior to that, I've been painting, had a business making tiny miniature furniture, which is so random, and done a million other things. So yeah, that was so vague.
But this is the thing, like we were just talking a little bit before the recording about how creatives do so many different things because, well, we're creative. Like that's how we are made. So how you describe yourself is so similar to, you know, how other creatives describe themselves as doing 5 million different things. But what I love about what you do is that whatever you produce is just somehow obviously Steph. And actually I use you as an example when I'm teaching or mentoring other creatives and talking to them about how it's not like you have to be that artist that always uses acrylics and always paints flowers. It goes deeper than that. Do you see that in your own art, that it all sort of connects?
Well, that's such a compliment. So thank you. I'll just tuck that compliment in my pocket for when I'm
keep that one.
Yeah, do I see it in my work? Probably not, but we don't see our own work clearly anyway, do we? That's just as artists how we are. But I think like I mean a friend of mine was saying like, why clay? And I'm like, well, it's not like I went and became a real estate agent, you know, like it's in the vein. It's just a tool, it's just a medium. And I think that whatever you're doing, the medium just speaks to who you are creatively. You're molding that and using that and manipulating that to express what's going on in your heart and in your head, you know. And if that has the same undercurrent, then that's what ties everything together. And I think we can get really fixated, particularly when we're starting out, on finding a style. But I blame the patriarchy for that. I blame the patriarchy for everything, but that too.
I'd love your take on this because I have not fully resolved my take on it, but I do have some strong aversions to certain approaches to this whole finding your style, Bizzo. What's your, what do you have a view or some sort of goal nuggets?
Yeah, look, I think it serves moneyed cis white people who have traditionally collected art, because if it's in a certain style, it's identifiable as a certain artist and therefore it has that value. But that's not how artists work, and it never has been. You know, like even the greats have gone through many iterations of what their art looks like. And to be honest, as soon as I start to feel locked in, I lose my creativity. That's when I have a dry spell, you know.
Yeah, because it gets stale and it gets boring, you know.
Boring.
For me anyway, the second I'm doing the same sort of thing, I'm like, okay, I gotta get out of here. Like, where's the eject button? Eject.
Yeah, I think that's what hell would look like to me, just like painting the same painting again and again. Like,
yeah, totally.
But yeah, I don't think it serves the artist. I mean, we're meant to evolve. We're humans. That's what we do, or in every aspect of our lives. So yeah, I think too much weight can be put on finding your style rather than, I think I treat, you know, creative processes like vocabulary. You know, whether it's acrylic or watercolor or whatever, those are the words, but it's what I'm saying with them that really counts. And what I'm saying is always what's going on with me at that time, you know. So things change and evolve, but they've always got my fingerprints all over it. Creative.
Steph, that is just so beautiful. It's what you're saying, and that the medium and all of that is just the words. Like, that is bleeping amazing. And you like how I'm keeping things clean. There were questions before from Steph about whether language was acceptable. I said it's fine. But yeah, no, that's just beautiful. So you might have heard of another art mentor and coach called Lara Cornell.
Yeah.
Have you heard of her?
Yes.
I listened to a podcast episode with her, which might have been on your and Susan's. I actually can't remember. Anyway, and what she teaches, and shout out to Lara as well, I'll put her link below, is that, yeah, it's not about your output. It's about the foundations, like who you are, what you represent, what you want to say. That, like, it's way deeper than it looks on Instagram, for example. Like, it's way deeper than your grid with your matching artworks, you know.
Yeah, it really is. And look, I think that grid is completely overrated as well. You know, that's just playing the game of another patriarchal, you know, institution. It's not really. yeah, all the old Zuckerman. So I don't know. I guess, like, I'm like you. I don't like to feel locked into things, but everyone's different. Like, some people love the structure of choosing a theme and exploring that for 30 years. Like, good on you. Like, whatever lights you up, like, that's great.
Yeah, follow the joy, right? Like, follow the
dopamine.
That's totally, as long as it's not social media. I get into these little patterns. I don't know if you do it, and I wonder if it's like potentially an obsessive thing of going on my phone and going, checking Facebook, checking Instagram, checking WhatsApp, checking messages, checking Facebook, checking Instagram, checking WhatsApp, checking messages. Like, wowzers, bejouzers, how much time do I waste doing that?
Well, I guess they're doing their job well, because that's what the point. That's what they want you to do. Isn't it? Like,
but it's dopamine, isn't it? It's like it's terrible.
Yeah, it can be, but I mean, I don't beat myself up about it. I love it. Are you kidding me?
No. But I mean, I think the question is, you know, whether it's stopping you from doing something that's more valuable. So I'm not saying it's all or nothing. I just I've got a problem, is all I'm saying.
We've all got problems, Rosie. Nothing really
So you were saying that you've done a lot of painting work before, and you did your gorgeous little houses, you're doing workshops, and you're doing ceramics now. And I went to look at your website. I'm like, I should really buy a Steph artwork. I've been looking at Steph Wallace's beautiful artworks for a while and considering. I'm an overthinker. And I never did, which is really bad.
No, I'll forgive you. There's still a pile of it in my storeroom now, because the thing is, I feel like I there's a bit of a story here, so let me backtrack.
All right.
So So I started painting a few years ago now, maybe 3-ish, and I just fell so deeply in love with it, you know. And I think it was because I was feeling burnt out from whatever creative output I was doing at the time. And then this was like early pandemic, yeah. And oddly, that was such a great time to be making paintings because people were spending so much time at home that they wanted beautiful things around them. So I sort of like just jumped in with both feet and was selling paintings through, you know, homeware stores that had great online shops. So I was just sending the work out and making, and I loved that. But then I started to feel a little bit trapped, which is like my arch nemesis for my creativity, you know. I was feeling like this is the thing. Like, I know that if I put Australian botanicals in this work, they're much more likely to sell than if I explore sort of like European cottage garden things. Yeah, right. Which is not the end of the world. That's a great thing to know. That's valuable knowledge. But I realized that once again, I put myself in a product-based situation that I was trying to escape.
But do you think that's like a form of self-sabotage? And I'm not putting you on the spot and I don't have a strong view on it, but I just wonder, because I do the same sorts of things. I'm like, but Ros, like, are you getting in your own way? Like, that's what I ask myself.
But it's so valuable to ask yourself that, because yeah, sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes we just follow the paths that we know without even realizing that we've defaulted. So yeah, I started asking myself some big questions, like, is this what I really want? And I realized that when I finished my ceramics degree, I can't say it with a straight face, because honestly, like, what was I thinking? I know, I'll go to uni and spend 4 years accumulating debt studying ceramics. Like, because that'll be useful, you know.
But here you are, Steph. Here you are.
Well, here I am.
Here you are.
Here I am. Yes, but I realized that at that time, and this was like 20 years ago-ish that I graduated, and I felt really out of place in the fine art world. I felt like so rejected and dejected. You know, the makers' revolution hadn't happened. Had it have happened, I would have identified with that. I'd have been like, I'm a maker. I'm not necessarily a highbrow fine artist. And I just felt like I was just trying to fit myself into that mold and making myself miserable. So I was like, stuff that. I'm not going to like feel dejected by art galleries. I'm going to build my own world the way that we do.
Yeah, yeah, I like it.
I've done that. And I'd done that for so long that I forgot to question, are those things still true? Or is that just a story that I've told myself for so long that I believe it's true? So I'm revisiting that now. Like, I'm like, okay, time to question that. Are those gatekeepers the same? No, of course they're not. They retired like 10 years ago. You know, now it's my generation of women, you know, like the Gen X's who are in charge, and they're the gatekeepers. So yeah, I'm just questioning those things, and it's feeling a lot more freeing, because what it means is I can treat my art like art. And I know that I sound spoiled saying, oh, my things were selling and I felt trapped. Like, I hear that.
That's not what I said, just so you know, just to be clear.
That's what I'm saying. You know, wonderful problem to have. But I was miserable and burnt out, and just, I don't know, you know how we go through those highs and lows in life and in our creativity. So yeah, I used a low to ask myself some pretty tricky questions. Yeah. And now I'm exploring. I don't have an answer. I'm just exploring what else it could look like.
And that's the fun part, you know, that's the thing. Like, so I saw somebody post in a art group online the other day, I'm new here, I've still got a lot to learn, full stop, shared an artwork. I'm like, yeah, the learning's the fun bit. And like, may it never end, because the second that ends, well, boring snoring, like that's the end. That's, you know, so that's the fun bit.
I need a t-shirt, Ros, with that on, boring snoring.
Boring snoring. Like, yeah, like, you know, like you're saying, your businesses and art is evolving, and you know, I hope for you that as long as you're happy with the constant evolution, that does continue evolving, you know.
Yeah. And I feel like I need to say, in the interest of transparency, because this is really important to me, we all compare ourselves, yeah, like it's part of the human condition. And referring back to social media, that can really exacerbate that problem because we're all sharing our highlights. But I do have a partner who goes to work in a really boring job fixing trains, which means that my mortgage, although I do pay it through my work, if I had to stop or if things went to poop, I would have someone there to like back me up. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be out on the street. So when I say I could just change things up, yes, I was taking a risk, but it was not that big a risk.
And it suited your circumstance. And I think, you know, that's the thing for people who might be watching, who want to turn their art up a notch. You have to totally do that. Like I'm a big believer in art and art as a career, but to do that in a way that is appropriate for your situation, and at a speed as well that suits your situation. Yeah.
And look, I'm prone to throwing the baby out with the bathwater, you know.
Not the real baby. You still have your daughter, right?
Too big for throwing anyway now. But yeah, I mean, I do thrive on change, and I know for people it can be scary. So gradual change is okay too, you know. But I did make a strategy, you know, I didn't just launch into this. I put together a strategy. I said, so if I'm not happy with how things look now, what am I going to change? But more importantly, why and what do I want at the end of these changes? You know, so I made the decision this year to separate my income slightly from my art, to allow that to evolve. But that meant finding other, you know, revenues of income. So I started teaching ceramics and working with the council and the local uni to do some community projects with them. And actually, it's been so good for my creativity because I am a real hermit. Like, I'm an introvert at heart. I just want to stay in my shed all day, play with clay. But connecting with other women and humans and hearing stories and, you know, being in person with people, I didn't realize how much I was craving it. And it's been so good for my creativity.
And teaching is just epically rewarding. Like, I can't even tell you how much I love teaching as well. Like, just that supporting other people is just, I don't know, there's nothing better actually.
Oh, I love that.
But it's true. Like, I'm sure you're seeing it as well. It's like, and I think it goes deeper than just teaching. I suppose it's more to do with the values, that you're not going to say, everybody look at me, I'm awesome at ceramics, ha 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 ha, you know, like it's more like, I'm good at this, I really love it, and I want you to learn how to do it, and I want you to have that joy as well. You know, it's more about the values, I think.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a lot of permission giving in teaching. You know, I say I'm spending time with women. That's not because the classes are full women, but they're all women. And they're often women who were told as young people that they couldn't pursue creative careers, that was not possible. You know, it was not on their parents' radar. So they went and did other things. And now a lot of them seem to be in their 40s and 50s, and they've spent time raising children and nurturing other people, particularly the last few years. A lot of that responsibility has been heavy on their shoulders, and now they just want to like do something for themselves.
Yeah.
And like being able to give them permission to say, yes, you can do this. And it's not something you need to apologize for. It's not something that like you need to make excuses around. Like, you can wholeheartedly throw yourself into this, and it's okay. Like, do it. It's not a tattoo. It doesn't work out. It's not the end of the world. You just shift and change, and that's been very validating.
Yeah.
You know, I really enjoyed that. Like, I'm a rebel at heart, so it's nice to help people get past some of those risk-taking stumbling blocks.
Yeah, it's just huge. Like, listening to you talk about that, I'm getting emotional. Like, because it's true. Like, it's a really big thing. Like, I went through it myself, and then I know a lot of my people do as well. Just that feeling like doing something for yourself is selfish almost. And then that's it. I think that's a big thing that a lot of women in particular have to deal with. The men seem to be perfectly capable of doing that. Sorry, men, if you're watching.
Yeah, you're right though. It is you know, there is a lot of guilt attached. And I think also you know, I did an interesting experiment last week on my Instagram where I realized that some of the people that I follow, I know in person, and their lives are actually very different to what they portray because they have a lot of privileges. You know, like they're able to live a life that looks a certain way because they've had familial support or they've had inheritance or, you know, things that are private to them. But it made me realize, oh, maybe I'm doing that too. I'm not speaking to the full story. So I feel like I want to open those doors of transparency. And you know how on Instagram you can ask a question, like you can put a thing out and say, ask me anything. Well, I've never done that because I thought no one will ask me anything. It'll just be embarrassing.
I thought you were going to say, I'm worried what they're going to ask me.
No. Like it'll be like crickets, and I'll be like, oh well. But quite a few questions came in, but also conversations have sparked. And I noticed a common thread of women feeling uncomfortable being seen, putting a mark in the sand, you know, saying, this is who I am and this is what I do, and putting it out into the world. A lot of discomfort around that. Maybe it's imposter syndrome, or just I don't know how to start, or that I don't feel like I'm good enough. But this women was fear there, no?
Women were raised, let's just put it in the past tense, to blend in, to shush, not to stand out, not to be too needy. Like I remember I'll be like very open, even when I first met my husband, we used to, you know, he used to make jokes about, oh, you being high maintenance, ha ha ha. But I'm thinking, no, actually, I'm going to channel Kath and Kim and I'm going to say high maintenance. I think you got to be like, that's, you know, women need to be high maintenance. They need to say, this is who I am and this is my art or whatever it is. And my needs are valid and I am worth a $50 painting class or whatever it is, you know. I don't know. I don't know.
I hear you. And actually classes are a really good way to do that because you're putting time aside on a regular basis, whether it's doing something online or doing something in person. You're saying this time is for me and you're setting boundaries around that. And in our real lives, we don't really do that. We don't go, okay, everybody, I'm going to the lounge room, nobody come in for 2 hours, I just need some me time. Can you imagine that happening in your family home? Like, it's not.
Try.
No, just try. But yeah, I think there's something about committing to somebody else to participate in something that makes find the time for
it's
ourselves.
That added accountability, I think, and that calendar marker, you know, with a time slot sort of thing. Maybe we should set up all of our teaching things so there's no cancellation, like it's not an option. Just to help other people.
Just, you know, I have actually done that. And I have put, I'm sorry, no cancellations, but then I still let people cancel because
I know. I was just thinking in terms of the psychology to help people to actually make that time. Anyway, so talk to me about your teaching, because I know you're doing a lot of workshops. I know there was a local creativity makers fair or something. Is that right?
Yeah. So I live in this daggy regional city that a lot of creative people moved to in the last 10 years because it's affordable. So a lot of people perhaps like grew up here, moved to Melbourne to like have a fun life, but then wanted to like raise a family and buy a house and all that kind of unaffordable stuff in the big cities. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's common worldwide, but it's just prohibitive. So it means a lot of creatives live here, and we have a wonderful team in our local council who have sort of put that at the heart and center of their strategy for the future development of the city. So they created this amazing event called Craft Lab, and I just like put my little hand up tentatively, like, I make pots, I could carve. Anyway,
it should have been, my name's Steph Wallace and I am a master ceramicist. I would love to share my knowledge. Anyway,
I feel so cringy. You just bring it. Oh my God.
We're going to work on your confidence.
Too
Or
right,
just
we do.
your verbalization.
I know, I do it all the time. That diminishing language, I'm shocked for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I went and did this event, and it was wonderful. You know, it was very nurturing and validating, but also I realized that much as I like to be loosey-goosey on an everyday basis, I do work really well to a deadline creatively. So it made me like pump out the work. And when you make a lot of work, you grow quickly. It's like the formula to evolving is to just keep going. And I think because I'm working in ceramics, there's a lot of stuff ups that we say nicely. You know, like sometimes I open the kiln and 6 out of the 10 things I made are just a hot mess through user error. You know?
Yeah, and you live and you learn and all of that.
Yeah.
But still,
you do. But someone very wisely commented on an Instagram post about that and said, it's that old adage of if you're grieving what is finished today, then you're not making enough work. The idea that if when you open that kiln, you're devastated, then you're not creating enough, because you should already be obsessed with the next piece, you know. And I was like, I really like that idea about letting go of all those feelings around a result and just throwing myself into the process more.
And keeping that productivity up. That's something that I struggle with a lot as well, is that speed of creation. I just am too busy. And it's all about prioritization. I know, so.
Ross, let's be honest, you're doing all the things. You're doing all the things.
Not the YouTube video editing. I've outsourced that one. Anyway, but yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? It's the priorities. So yeah, good. I'm glad that you could see that. So you produced a lot during that workshop period.
Yeah, and then it was an in-person event, so I had my work there, but the point of it was to demonstrate the craft to people, and most of the people that come work are creative as well. But what I really enjoyed about it was how many people wanted to ask me a million questions. I spent the whole day helping people make tiny pots on my tiny pottery wheel, which is just such a nerdy thing.
It's perfect. It's like your tiny furniture, by the way. Like there's a connection there.
Just can't stop. But yeah, like, and then people saying, do you teach? I'm like, yeah, I do. I didn't realize there was such demand for it, because again, talking stories that we tell ourselves, I've sort of been like, oh, I'd like to do a workshop, but no one will sign up. No. But I feel like the zeitgeist of being able to be in person again has shifted a lot of people's mindsets. We are much more motivated to want to interact with others.
And a bit of the law of attraction as well. Like if you're doing some sort of workshops, you know, face to face, and people are liking it, then, you know, you'll have those people inquiring about future sessions and all of that. So.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, I didn't intend it to be that way, but that has achieved my goal of slightly removing my income from my art. It's still in the same realm. You know, I'm teaching workshops about my art. So it's a perfect fit, because it's not like I'm not going to an office job, which crushed my soul.
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, it's aligned, but it's working really well. And when those students leave my studio, I just want to make work, because I've been so inspired watching them. I'm like, stop cleaning up. I'm going to make more of this.
But see, that's absolutely perfect, isn't it? So that's great. I'm so excited that you're, you know, pushing the workshop and the teaching sort of stuff a little bit further. I saw on your website you've got a 6-week course. Is that in person?
Yeah, that's an in-person. And then I'm also doing like regular tiny pottery courses. They seem to be a bit of a like fun date night kind of thing. Actually, it's been mummy daughter dates, actually.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah. Nice fun.
Oh, I love it. And are you doing any of these online yet for people who aren't in your area?
No, I'm not. And the reason being, I feel
I can guess, but you.
Oh, no, you say what?
Well, it's just a lot harder than paper and paint, because you've got to get the clay and like it's a bit more involved, I think.
Yeah, maybe, but also I like I'm not great at delayed gratification. You know, with teaching in person, it's quite an immediate thing. You know how much work it is to build an online offering. I think like this concept of passive income is hugely overrated. There is nothing passive about it.
No, nothing is actually passive anyway. Like if anyone actually, nothing's actually passive. No.
It's just you're loading the work at different times. Yeah. And I felt this is still quite fresh and new to me. So yes, maybe into the future. But right now, no one's beating my door down going, please make an online course or whatever. There are plenty of amazing people already doing that. But yeah, I think how good I felt after connecting with humans in person, meeting people in person, yeah, in person.
people in humans, yeah.
Just encouraged me to like just take that leap and be like, okay, just, you know, hang out with people in real life and enjoy that.
And connect. And I think, like you're saying, we all need that now after, you know, such a break and such a disrupted period of time. I think we're all just itching for that human connection. So that is beautiful. And I'm betting that by the time that this episode goes up on YouTube, that there will be art and ceramics and things like that back on your website. Let's hope.
Very optimistic.
Oh, I'm sure it will be fine. You know, this is going live in 2024, right?
Oh, still take that into that. But I mean, that does, like, you know, we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, that I was saying how as part of this event that my city ran, I got to have a career review with some people from Craft Victoria, and it was so great. It was so validating. And I got to talk about all my worries and concerns about my work. And one of the things that they suggested was that I transitioned quite quickly and that my back end had not caught up.
Excellent.
And by that, maybe my website and my communication. I find it very hard to, well, let's be honest, nobody can be across everything at all times. And as a solo creator, like, I don't have a team. Do you have a team, Roz?
Why don't you have a team, Steph? I think it's just really interesting. I've got a virtual assistant. I have a virtual assistant. She's amazing, by the way. Actually, she lives in Ballarat.
Get out of town.
Yeah, you should meet her.
I know her.
Yeah, she's beautiful and she's also amazing, and she loves making art too. But no, you
actually, I know her. I bet I know her already. Ballarat's like this big.
You need to get a team going.
Okay.
Why do women play small? Steph, don't play small.
I'm going to be honest.
Go.
I'm
counseling session now.
Right, yeah. I think I have fear around money.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, that age-old thing. And it's like a trauma-based fear, not a reality-based fear. You know what I mean? Like, it happens to me on a daily basis. Oh my God, I'll never sell something ever again. That was it. That was the last one, you know. And I don't like financially invest in the future very much. Reason. Because I'm like, this could all end any moment.
Isn't that interesting? So I'm doing a bit of reading and sort of work at the moment with, I have to remember her name. That's right. Denise Duffield Thomas.
You working with her? She's the money guru.
Yeah, she's really good. And so I've been manifesting, apparently. I'm not really, so I'm a bit of a hippie, but not a major hippie. And I'm like manifesting, whatever. But anyway, I've been manifesting and it's a thing. So, but anyway, she has a lot of tips, obviously, around the money side of things and the mindset and the, law of attraction and all of that stuff. Have a listen. I just got it on audiobooks.
She's fab. She's amazing. Yeah.
I think it's a big thing because, like, I've been chatting with Laura. Now this is turning into a chat, by the way. But anyway, YouTube audience, I hope you're enjoying it. I've been chatting to Laura a lot about the money and the artist thing. And I think, you know, everybody's got money mindset issues, but I think artists and creatives in particular, because unfortunately art generally is not, you know, on a deep level, deep in our minds, is not related to money. It's only related to starving, you know, the whole starving artist thing.
Yeah.
And I think even though we might, what's the word? Academically, no, that's the wrong word. We know that it doesn't make sense, like we're proving it wrong and all of that. I think there is still some deep sort of memory, I suppose, of that association between artists and starving. So
yeah. I mean, I can remember, I think I was 5 the first time I said that I wanted to be an artist. And I think my mum, she doesn't remember saying it, poor old mum, but, you know, saying like, well, we won't really make much money.
Yeah, no.
And it's like, well, that's not strictly true. I mean,
it's
to her generation it was, I don't know. But, you know.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I think there's a whole topic, a whole very, very ginormous topic here to dive into and explore. We need to talk. We're going to get you a team, Steph.
What do I need? What would you recommend first? What should my first team member be?
I would really
love someone to clean my house, actually.
But that counts, you know. No. I'm literally at that point as well. My brother came over yesterday. He's like, so, do you guys have a cleaner? Like, so, what do you think the answer is?
That's so passive aggressive.
No, he didn't say it with that tone, but that's how I heard it, of course. So yes, I'm at the same point as you. We need a cleaner. So that counts as a team because it's freeing you up to do other things. Yeah, and even if you start with once a month or once a fortnight, or how can you make those little steps towards, you know, your ideal situation?
Yeah, right. After this, I'm gonna go and process that. Thanks, Roz. Oh, look, talk about permission giving.
Oh, there you go. What can you do? Yeah. See. Anyway, it's been so lovely having you on. Anyway, I wanted to ask you if you had one golden piece of advice. Hold on, we have interrupting. One moment. Sorry, everybody. I had an interruption. My daughter. From a small person. So I was just asking, sorry, if you had one awesome piece of advice for an aspiring artist or a new artist that wants to make art their career or, you know, take steps in that direction, what would you say?
It's probably much easier said than done, but I'd say own that. Own it. If you know that it's what you want, and it's what you want your life to be, don't hold back in calling yourself an artist. I feel that seems to be a bit of a block for people starting out. I love that your life looks like my life. All the things.
Just waiting for a cat to bite me now, and that'll be great. Just gonna pause, everybody. We're back, and I've just told my daughter that I'm going to be 1 minute. So you ready, Steph?
Yeah, I'm ready. Okay, I'm ready.
So what was your golden piece of advice? Was you said own it, right?
Yeah, call yourself an artist. Tell other people you're an artist. Don't be afraid of it. You wouldn't be scared of calling yourself an accountant if you were doing accounts. Yeah. Because once you own it, I don't know. It's like putting a boundary there. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I don't know if that's useful, but it helped me. All right. Was that within 1 minute? Was there anything else?
That was pretty good. I think that was 36 seconds. So we've got a little bit left. So the last question was, where can people find out more about you and connect with you and just, you know, have a slice of your awesomeness?
Oh, stop it. Well, they can find me on Instagram. I'm Steph Wallace Art. I have a website which you've shamed me about, so thanks for that, Roz.
It's a beautiful website. I was just wanting to buy some art is my problem. I didn't mean to shame you. It was a true story.
I'm really kidding. And that's stephwallaceart.com, but I have links to classes and all that kind of stuff on there too.
Okay.
And now I better go make it fancy for you.
Thank you. Oh, it is fancy. It'll be just some simple connection thing that's dropped off. tell me when it's fixed so I can buy your art. All right, beautiful. Well, we better end this, but I will chat with you soon. I'll make sure I put all your links and all your stuff below as well, okay?
You're the best, Rose. Thanks so much.
All right, pleasure.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.